Hey everybody, Steve here over at the Gunspot. In this video, I want to go through a detailed explanation and instruction on how to smooth out your action on an AK style rifle. The AK47 is probably going to need this the most, but the information is generic and it'll go to any kind of AK style rifle. Alright, so let's get started. First of all, the only thing that causes a rough action is friction. Friction is the killer here. Now, when you're dealing with a low-grade rifle like the AK47, low-grade meaning the fit, finish, and assembly is not top of the line, you're going to have a lot of friction. When you're dealing with a high-end AK-47, an Arsenal, for example, you're going to see fit and finish to be very high, and all the parts are going to be, very smooth, and they're going to operate very loosely. Not so much loosely, but a lot easier because the parts are machined and built a lot better. I mean, that's a basic fact. But there are things you can do if you have a rough action. And the only thing that cures a rough action is to reduce the friction. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to reduce the friction the best that you can. So first of all, you have to find out where the friction points are in your action. In this AK-47, as I showed in my previous video, the dust cover was a friction point on the charging handle. You remove the magazine. It is empty. Alright, the dust cover right here. Let me take the part off and I'll show you. Right here. This was not machined well, and there was a lot of extra metal right around here. The metal came down longer right here. And what was happening was the charging handle right here was getting caught up on that. It was rubbing up against that. Now, in normal firing function, it was fine. It would work. But it was just, it roughed up the action. And everything together, like the rails, the hammer, the dust cover, all these things taken into account, and all that friction adds up to equal a rough or a smooth action. So this is area number one you're going to look at. If your charging handle is getting hung up right here, take a Dremel, exactly what I did, and just gently Dremel that down a little bit to where it doesn't meet the face of this any longer. So I did that, and that one's taken care of. Next point of friction is going to be your rails. Your bolt rides along the rails. So, let me get this bolt out of here. Hold on 1 second. Your bolt carrier, I should say. I apologize. Your bolt carrier rides along these rails. What can you do to minimize that friction? Right here, never dull. This is going to take you a lot of time, alright? This is not something that you're just going to do in 10 minutes, but that's half the fun of working on guns. It takes you a little while. Hit it with never dull. You're going to take away the roughness of the metal. You're going to take away the low quality machining that leaves the rough texture on the metal. And you might remove a little bit of the paint or finish, whatever's on your rail, so keep it oiled. If you have a high-end rifle, you probably don't need to do this, because from the factory, it's already very smooth. Alright, do it on the other side as well. You want to get wherever the bolt carrier rides along the rail. You want to do that. You want to just hit it with the never dull or any kind of polishing compound. And I'm just doing this real quick. I've already done this on the rifle, but this is probably going to take you 15 to 20 minutes of just non-stop polishing with this wadding. Alright, so there's number 2. That's the second friction point. However, we're not done yet on that second friction point. Right here, this is the bolt carrier. This is the actual section that rides along the rail. What you're going to do is get a new piece of wadding and get a credit card or any kind of super card from a grocery store that you don't use anymore, and wrap the wadding around that. Get a thin piece. Here, I'll show you real quick. I've already done this on this rifle, so I'm not going to do it in detail on mine, but just to show you the idea, the concept. Wrap the wadding around it like that. That way you can get into the groove and go back and forth with the wadding in the groove. It's going to take you a long time. This is not something that takes 5 minutes, but the results are, extremely noticeable. Once you're done doing this, you will notice it. It's something that you definitely can feel it. As I said, I've already done this on this rifle, but you get the idea. Keep on doing that. Change out the wadding, get fresh wadding once it gets grimy. Alright, there's section number 2. Third point of friction is going to be your hammer in the bottom of the bolt carrier right here. If you look at your AK, you will see that the hammer right here rubs up against this. This is a major friction point right here. You actually can feel it once you hit the hammer. You have to pull it a little harder to get it over that hump. So with the Never Dull wadding, go on your bolt carrier right here. Polish it down, get it nice and smooth, and on the actual hammer right here. Get the Never Dull wadding, polish the hammer down. Like this, again, is going to take you 15-20 minutes of non-stop polishing, but you will notice a difference. So, we have a very smooth playing surface. That is, you're like halfway there. You're almost done. Number 2 is lubrication. Lubrication is an extremely effective way to subdue friction. Whatever you choose for your lubrication, that's pretty much a personal matter. Everyone has their favorite gun lube. I've been using Weapon Shield. I'm not a fan of the thin oils for the AK. I actually like the grease. I use Weapon Shield gun grease. But any kind of gun grease, just a very light dab along the rails. Light dab where the rails line up to on the bolt carrier. Light dab right here where the hammer meets the bolt carrier. And I grease the bolt as well. So the bolt is very smooth going through the bolt carrier. So when you do all of this, the polishing with the wadding material along every friction point, and the greasing and or lubing, whatever you choose to do, of the friction points, you're going to notice, I should say, an extremely different action. It's not going to feel like the same gun at all. It's going to feel a lot smoother. You're going to like it, I'm telling you. Now, before, when I first got this gun, this was, I had to use my whole hand. I had to rock it back, rock it forward. Now, I don't know if you can see this in camera. Try to do it. But just 2 fingers, so you can, 1 finger. If you can find a wasser where you can do that with 1 finger, with pinky finger, come on. So, you will notice the difference. Trust me, you will notice it. So there it is, guys. That's the detailed video on how to smooth out the action of an AK-47. It's one simple concept, and that is reduce friction any way you can. If you have any questions, email me, PM me, and as always, be safe, and I'll talk to you guys real soon.